All right. All right, everybody. We are here today with Stephanie Pappas from D.I.G, Diversified Investments Group. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I thought of you when I was thinking through, because we have all the time in the world right now to sit home and think of things. So I'm thinking about my guests that are going to be on the show and stuff like that. And I'm like, I like to have different perspectives in our real estate market of what's going on, because we all are sharing a unique moment. But, I find that when you have the people that have like a perspective of a lot of things in our market, whether it's somebody that does a whole lot of, Mike McCann does a bunch of transactions, or, Gaurav Gambhir is a brokerage for a huge thing. So Stephanie has been with D.I.G and on the board. What's your current status with D.I.G?
I'm the executive director now, was the president, joined in 2000, joined D.I.G.
So you have been very much in the forefront of D.I.G, and D.I.G is without a doubt the largest and probably the best one in our area in terms of networking groups for real estate investors of all kinds, quite frankly, but primarily real estate investors. So I thought your perspective was very interesting because you have a group of 1,000+ people or whatever it may be that are all investors in the area. You're going to see some stuff and get some feedback that somebody else who goes online and goes, hey, what's the market doing, isn't going to have that perspective. So what have you been seeing from the networking group's feedback and the individuals you've been dealing with since 2000 and all that kind of stuff? Talk to me about that.
Okay. So we haven't had a lot of in-person meetings, which is the best thing about D.I.G is getting together and talking to other investors that do what we do. So to me, that's always exciting to go in a room and just start talking about real estate and not have people look at you funny. So we're not getting that face-to-face right now. We've been doing some webinars and people are jumping on, and it just seems like everybody's really concerned with what's going to happen. What if my tenants don't pay? How do I get rents? How do I, should I buy rehab property? So I'm supposed to go look at one this afternoon and I'm having those same concerns. What if I can't find contractors? Are they going to come out and work, or am I going to hold this for 6 to 8 months before things open up and people can come out and actually work on my property? They're real concerns because it's like an unknown. We've never done this before. We don't know, it'll be open in a month. We don't know. It could be 6 months. It could be 2 weeks. And, it makes it a little uncertain. So to advise somebody to go ahead and buy a rehab property and maybe sit and hold it, you better be darn sure you got the money to carry it, and make sure you have enough room in that project so you're not stuck 6 months from now, used up all your profit and you haven't even started the project. So that's a legitimate concern when you're new to investing to start with. New people, they don't exactly know how to proceed in a timely fashion. So they get behind the 8 ball from day one. But with this going on, this could really, impact your profit on a project.
I think, you're going to get the perspective of, well, let me ask this. So when you went through this with D.I.G in 2008, you're going to see, I've been talking to a lot of people about this. Oh, in the middle of what I'm saying, I'm going to just put Ryan on. He's my partner. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're going to have to adjust your background, but yes, Ryan's on. So this is Stephanie from
Hi, Ryan. How are you?
Hey, Stephanie.
Good.
Sorry, I'm a little late here. Actually, it's 4:30 now. You guys were early.
Yeah. And your camera looks like like you're in a fish.
It looks like it's raining.
Yeah, it looks like it's raining indoors. So,
see if I can fix that. Live fixing. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So all right. So what I was going to ask Stephanie was so in 2008, right? So we had another cyclical crash, a cyclical everything. But what happened in D.I.G? What's similar to now to what was then? The newbie investors, they got to protect their cash right now, and they've got to,
right.
You saw this stuff happen in 2008 in a little bit longer of a time span, because 2008 really took like a year and a half to bottom out. This is like a light switch right now.
Right.
But what's similar?
Well, I think the fears there, the unknown. Everybody was panicking. We're going into a recession and the world's going to come to an end. And it didn't. And actually, us investors, I think, actually made out pretty well with that. And it's, sounds heartless to say it, but I think real estate is always good, sometimes better than not. It just depends on which end of it you're on. And do you want to be a buyer or do you want to be a seller in this? So, I'm a realtor too. So I see both sides. I see my side as an investor, but I also see my buyers. I've got one panicking about going to settlement in 2 weeks. She doesn't even want to be in the room with anybody. And then I've got an investor that's just bought 2 investment properties in the past month that I had listed. So they're not afraid to buy, but they must have the money available, or they may be working. I mean, I've got income coming in right now besides the real estate income. But if you don't, should you be spending it buying a property now, even though the prices might be good?
I think it's, well, what's interesting. I was thinking that we haven't seen yet. I don't know if you remember this in 2008, because I've really been enjoying talking to the people that kind of went through that cycle with us when I was there.
Yeah.
Like that was, because like a lot of the things you go, oh man, I remember that, or oh man, I remember that. And it's all similar. Just back then it was insert crash, or like financial crash. This time insert the word virus, and here we go with the run again of what it's going to be. What we haven't, I don't think, seen just yet is real estate hasn't been hit by this. Like we've been slowed down in the retail end, but we have not seen the new comps. We have not seen, like, it's so happened so fast. The lag has been, it hasn't shown up yet. So, and I remember that back in like 2008 when it was like, okay, when are the deals coming? When are the deals coming? And then it really didn't happen until the sellers were basically noticed that, hey, my equity is gone in my house. I have to accept this. I have to sell. So we are nowhere near that point in terms of deals yet. But I don't see how, I can't, the one thing I never do is I never predict. I might try to like make like a fun crystal ball prediction.
What a guess, right?
A guess. Yeah, I'll make a guess. Yeah. But I could sit here and say, it's coming, but I could also say, I don't know, maybe the Federal Reserve's money was enough to just bounce this thing right out of a V, and we don't even feel it in the real estate market. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I think landlords are going to feel it.
Sure.
I've got tenants that, I've got one that's high income and she can afford it. She's got money in her savings account. And I have tenants in the lower end, but they're on assistance. So that assistance is still there. So they're still getting paid, but they also have other things going on. Now they've got children that are out of work that used to supplement, and they're not working. So if they give me all the rent, do they have enough money left over for the food that the other people in the household were providing? So if I don't get my rent, can I still afford to pay my mortgages on my rental properties? And then if I don't get my rental money, then I'm not getting income for myself either. So that affects me. So it's kind of like a chain. It starts, either at the top or at the bottom, but one way or the other, it's going to affect everybody at some point. I think the people that will be least affected are the ones that have prepared for, contingencies and just have money in the savings and, can weather it out. And, we'll all pick up at some point. Will we lose some money? Probably. I'm just hoping to get my rent or even have to reduce it a little bit and break even, so I'm not losing money monthly. But if I'm not making any money monthly, I'm okay. I'm still employed, but there's a lot of people out there that aren't, and I don't know how they're going to weather it.
Yeah, I mean, and we're coming up on the timeline where, the people that had savings are going to start being tested, let alone people that didn't have it. I mean, we're a month in. Another month of this for people would be, I think Ryan and I have gone over this on the show, where like the trajectory when we first started was like it had just started, and it was like everybody's there for everybody. We all love each other. And then we knew what was coming was like, okay, that little vacation we were on, it's going to change. It's going to change to fear. And then it's going to change to I'm running out of money. It's going to change to desperation. And, as this has gone on over the last month, this is what's been going on. And then over the next 2 weeks, we're at the point of protests across the country. What are we looking at? How desperate and how, will people be in 2 weeks? And I think you're right. Like, I don't blame tenants for not wanting to pay their rent, and I don't blame landlords for wanting their money. Like, it's like, what
Right.
is it, right? What's the answer? Because you can't, like you said, if he doesn't pay rent, it's not like you are sitting on a pile of free and clear 1,000 properties and it's like you're just swimming in Scrooge McDuck money. Like 99% of your investors have leverage, have money they owe to the bank. All that's there. So
yeah, I think that's the common misconception, is that everyone thinks if you're a landlord, you must be rich, right? You must be rolling with Scrooge McDuck money. It's not. I mean, I'm not going to call out any names, but the governor of New Jersey kind of threw landlords under the bus. He's saying they should be passing the rent-free months over. It's like, well, then how's the landlord going to pay their bank?
Right. Yeah, we've got mortgages to pay too. So my whole feeling on it is, if you can at least cover your cost, your mortgage, and then give your tenants a break, at least take a couple hundred off if you're making a couple hundred cash flow, to at least help them through it. And then maybe tack it on at the end and hope they can bounce back enough to pay an extra $50 a month till it's paid back. But I'd rather get my mortgage paid than get all my rent and my profit, because I can live without the profit. I can't live without the rent money. I love to just give my tenants, say, hey, you don't pay rent for the next couple months, free living for you. I feel bad for you. And I do feel bad for them because they're in worse off positions than I am. But by the other token, I worked hard to get where I am. And I just, I can be generous and reduce the rent. I'm not sure that I can be generous enough to forgive their rent.
Well, and it's like a juggling act, right? So like, you're currently in, I'm not saying you, I'm saying this is going to stand for most landlords in general. They're currently in a position where they can say similar stuff to what you're saying right now. But like, what, if this were to go on for like, God forbid, something crazy, like 6 months or a year, right? Like, you look back and go, man, what should I have given it all those breaks? Like, what did it matter?
Would it have helped?
So you're doing your best to juggle it, like every landlord is right now. But like, like I said, I don't blame either side. I don't think the answer is point a finger at, the landlord saying you're supposed to forgive rent, especially, it's nice. It's nice the ones that can afford it at the moment, but a tenant can't get mad. Can't get mad for like, look, there's, the landlords have real costs involved. They're not what you may think. So I'm sure you're hearing that from like inside D.I.G, like the Zoom calls and the webinars. I'm sure that's pretty much the generalized feedback, right? Same.
Yeah. Well, that's what the big concern is. How do I collect it? And even if they don't pay, you can't collect it now anyway, because the courts are closed. Right. So when they open the courts and you decide, well, that tenant I know is never going to get back on their feet, I need to kick them out. When can you do it? Is it going to be 6 months from now, or is it, the court's going to be backed up? How am I going to evict them if, I've got to wait 6 months to get them out? And then, what do I do? So they're legitimate concerns because we really don't know. I mean, look what happened with, the lines to get your unemployment, and people, running out of money for the SBA loans. And, if you weren't the first one in there, you're kind of screwed. So if you're not the first one in landlord court, when are you going to get your court case heard?
The question is how long will that delay? That's a good question, because I think we saw that. So the thing with 2008 and 2009 that we saw run the court systems dry was foreclosures in general was like that got so backed up. And like, you're right, there's going to be all these things, and it's not going to be like one thing. Back then it was just foreclosures. This time it's going to be a little bit of everything backing up court systems. And you're right. The question is, how long does that drag?
And how important is real estate to the court systems? Because like you said, it's not just this market that's backing them up right now. It's going to be everything.
Yeah.
So that's true. So what's D.I.G doing right now? I mean, you guys are doing webinars. Like, what are some of the more innovative things? Because one thing I've learned about everybody that's come on, whether it's been an organization or an individual, has been they're adapting. They're, everybody's speed adapting right now. The reason we're on this call, we're adapting. So what's going on with that? How's D.I.G adjusting?
Well, it's been tough because we were a little behind in the technology department. So we had to get up to snuff. Like, how do I get on a Zoom webinar? How do I set them up? Who do I have speak on them? I'm so sick of COVID information right now. but people need it. So it's like, really, we're having a happy hour tomorrow night for our members just to get online and chit chat and just talk. If it comes up COVID conversations or if they have questions, that's fine. But I just want to have a glass of wine and sit and chit chat with my friends again, because I miss the face-to-face contact. I miss just having a general conversation, like, how's your family doing? And, how are your kids? But that all turns around. Yeah, we're all stuck at home with COVID and I don't know how we're going to handle this. I'm so sick of my kids. So, but it'll be good to get on and not necessarily have a topic, but to just keep in contact with people, have some strategies out there, because I think the whole real estate market, the way you did business before, is going to change. We may be doing a lot more lease options and seller financing and wholesale deals and all kinds of stuff. May be more popular than the traditional, purchase types. And even, if you're rehabbing houses, this could be our new norm, being on conference calls. And a lot of people may never go back to the job. They may always do this from home.
I think we could see a whole lot more of it. I was just saying to somebody on the prior thing we were doing, I said, I think we're going to see right now, we have this huge push of like adapting to virtual space. I think we'll see some sort of like in between where it'll be very common to do like open houses via Zoom, you know, these kind of meetings via Zoom, but you'll still have people that go to an office, or like you still have that tangible like dig. You need to go to these groups to meet people, and there's still that connection you need, but I think you'll see a ton more stick. For sure.
Yeah. And even like rehabs, change what you're doing, because I think, kind of home offices kind of went out. People didn't have that office, the new construction office in the front became a playroom or a theater room or whatever. And now I think if you don't have a home office somewhere spaced in your rehabs, I want to think about maybe we need to start putting them in, because I think they're going to be part of the future.
Yeah, I personally work from home, so I'm all about the home office life.
Right.
Like, let's make as many of those as you can.
Yeah.
But that's for sure. I think you're going to see a lot more of that in terms of, and just being socially accepted. I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners too, I was thinking about this, like from a small business owner perspective, is that most of the time there was a fear, like to let somebody work virtually at home.
Right.
There's a fear of like, I can't keep track of them. I can't do this. I can't do that. Well, now they're forced in this position. And if their business is still thriving and doing just fine, you go, man, like, do I really need to pay for all this rent space? Like my people that work with me are really completely responsible. I was just being paranoid and overwhelmed. So I think we're going to see an adaptation phase of small businesses in that capacity, where like owners will allow that more in their head. But definitely,
it's kind of, things just change, maybe they'll do 3 days at home and, a couple days at work. But if, like you said, if the production's still there, they can cut their costs. They need a smaller office. They don't need all the office rooms, and they can co-share cubbies like they do with real estate now. I mean, I had my own private office when I started in real estate. Everybody did, but you don't anymore. Now you get, if you go into the office to work, you get a, cubicle to
shared space. It's more hip anyway, right? That's what they say. So So, all right. So D.I.G is coming through right now. You guys will be adapting. The whole group will be adapting with probably more webinars and more stuff like that. Like you said, this incident, forced you guys to speed up your technology catch up, right? You had no choice.
Sure.
It's cool. Like, it's good.
Well, it is. It's kind of fun. I mean, if you can't go out, at least you can still communicate, but it's not the same. Like, networking is networking. I mean, you can listen to webinars all day long, but it's not the same as being there and being with other people. And, you start a conversation with one person and 3 other people join in, and you get a lot of opinions instead of just you and I talking about our personal opinions. We got Ryan over here. What's he think? So now you got 2 people in the conversation with you, as opposed to just that one-on-one. I think it makes a difference.
Oh, it does. I mean, there's no question that, I've found over my years, the networking, so I have like certain staples of like either marketing or interaction in the marketplace that I feel are important, and networking groups, the face-to-face has always been a staple in it. Yeah, and I think about it in my head. I go, well, how do I explain that to somebody? Like, why can't you do that on Zoom, right? But I'm like, there is something missing that is like unexplainable in a face-to-face conversation. That, you know, and networking groups, in my opinion, are the most efficient way. It's like speed dating, right? With a whole group.
Sure.
Yeah, and
hey, you talk to one person, they're not what I'm looking for. Let me move on. You know, until you find. Yep. And people like to do business with people they like. So getting to know people in a, you know, a social situation, you kind of get to know the personalities a little bit, and, you know, maybe you don't like their personality. Do you really want to do business with them? You know, you want to be able to communicate. It's the same with realtors. I always tell people, find a realtor you can work with, because if you don't like your realtor, you know, if they're like, well, you don't need to see that, but you do, you need the realtor that says, I'll take you to see that. So, you know, there's different styles for everybody. Some people are so busy, they love these virtual tours of houses. I could never buy a house through virtual tour. I just can't.
I mean, I'm thinking like I could do like a bunch of virtual tours and then narrow it down, but I don't know about sending that deposit. Yeah, that's a tough one.
You know, I want to get in there and look at the workmanship and how clean it is and stuff like that. You can't see that on video. Because, you know, as realtors, we all make everything look perfect.
It does make you wonder, though, that if this keeps going the way it is, in a year, is it going to be, you're going to be weird for wanting to see the house.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, you're wasting somebody's time for wanting to see it. Yeah.
Amazon came on. I still like going shopping. I miss my Marshalls and Home Goods runs.
That's true. That's true. There's something about the certain type of shopping that I think it'll change the way you shop a little bit, but in terms of houses, but I think they'll still be. It's too big of a purchase for people to not go set foot in.
Yeah, to not get the feel of the neighborhood and the yard, and you know, you just can't get that from video. I mean, there's a lot of other things you can't. Like, I can buy cat food online.
Sure,
but I don't want to buy clothes
online. You don't need to see it. You believe,
it's the same cat food. You know, you eat the same thing every day. So, but toilet paper, paper towels, cleaning products, I don't need to see those. But you know. You need to see neighborhoods. There's a lot of stuff you need to see. And rehab houses, there's no way I could buy one of those online without seeing it.
No, and I think what we're going to see probably is we're going to see one scenario where, not one, but it'll go overboard in one direction. People will just be like buying a house in Pennsylvania from Texas, buying a house, and we'll see this all over the place. And then you're going to see a bunch of lawsuits come out of it, where it's somebody made it it looked like this, and here's the reality on Fox News at this channel this time, right? Like that's what'll start popping up, and then people will be like, "All right, look, we're cool with the virtual tours, but remember, before you ever sign one, you have to go and see your top 2 or top 3."
Some point, yeah.
It's a very good way, though. Like if I have 10 or 15 properties I'm trying to decide between, I can't spend Saturday and Sunday doing that. Narrow it down to 2 or 3. That's a good way to make a realtor's time more efficient too. With instead of bringing somebody around and around and around. You know, hey, these 2 or 3, what do you think?
You can send that out to 10 different people too, right? You don't have to do 10 different tours. It's one tour for 10 people.
Yeah, you could do one and, you know, eliminate the tire kickers too.
Yeah, and it'll put that in perspective. So I think we'll see that. You know, I think the one thing, though, you mentioned earlier to back up on the topic was, you know, you said, I can't wait to just have this meeting, have a glass of wine, and talk to people, right? And you go, and, you know, I was talking to my wife yesterday, and she said, she had to go out and get groceries. We're very much adhering to the, you know, to the social distancing and all that kind of stuff.
Me too.
So, to the point though, where she's like, it should never have felt that good to go to the grocery store. She's like, not only I'm stressed because there's kids and this, she's like, but it just it's odd that it felt this good. And I think a lot of people are at that point. She's like, to see people doing normal things right now felt really weird. And I mean, we're in a neighborhood and we walk around, we see people, but it's I compared it to right now. It's like Martha Stewart jail, right? So you have a nice setting where you can sit and watch your TV, but you get 1 hour outside every day, which is probably your walk or whatever. And you come back inside. I'm like, people are not meant to be sustained in this environment. There's a reason. So, you know, that's what it's like. It's like this really light sentence of jail time or something for us. I don't know if everybody else feels that way, but that was some perspective I thought to throw on it.
Well, there was a cute cartoon on, I think it was Facebook, where maybe it was TikTok. The lady saying this is what I was going to do. And she's showing all these cleaning products. I was going to clean my house. And this is the reality. And she's laying on the sofa with a bag of chips and a glass. And she's, reality, it sounds good. Oh, yeah, I get all this stuff done while I'm stuck home. But you're not motivated to do it. I get more work done when I'm busy.
It feeds itself, right? It's like the busyness feeds, productivity. When you're busy, it feeds productivity. When you're like, all right, I'm going to go clean the room and then I'm done. I got to go watch TV for another 4 hours. You're like, I'm just going to watch TV for 4 hours. Like, screw it. Right. Like that's how you feel.
Well, there's always tomorrow to do it too. Why do I need to do it today? I'll clean the kitchen tomorrow, or I'll, do that tomorrow. So, when you're busy, you got an hour, you get something done. But I don't like this. This is just
no, it's time. And you like people, especially. So I can handle, I work from home. So I've been doing this for like 10 or 15 years. So I've been in quarantine for like 10 or 15 years. Right. So I'm good. But as far as I've found the balance, but I could see for people that typically really enjoy being out around people, this is like a system shock. And you like being around people, like you enjoy, not that I don't like people. I've learned how to adapt to it. And, but I'm just thinking, man, like for somebody that just is used to this, and you're not alone, right? A lot of people are feeling like, like I said, my wife literally was like, grocery shopping was so good. Like, what does that mean? So I'm sure everybody feels that way. What do you think is gonna, in terms of so for Dig and I know a lot of the guys and girls in there, are you seeing an optimism, pessimism as a group? Like, if you were to speak to the group as a whole, the fear you kind of mentioned earlier, but I think that's natural across everybody.
Yeah.
What are you seeing right now in terms of that?
Well, I think the older people, I don't mean old people, but the longer you've been in real estate, I think the more optimistic you are, because it's going to bounce back. It always has. It always will. People need to live somewhere. It's just a matter of, can I live through this? Did I prepare well enough ahead of time so I can survive this and not go belly up because every one of my rehab properties is sitting on the market for 3 months and it's not selling? And there's opportunity out there, and you can't always look at the downside of everything. You have to look at the positives. Change how you're thinking. Think different ways to do the real estate you did before. Can you do everything virtually? No, but can you maybe change how you buy properties, where you get your money from? Maybe the bank's not the best place because they're not going to lend you money, but there's people like you that lend money. There's people like me that lend money. Maybe private lending is the way to go because the banks aren't going to lend to you because of your, backup of debt that you've acquired. So I think just thinking positive and keeping in mind, I've got to look for those opportunities out there. Maybe I'm not going to be a rehabber this year. Maybe I'll be a wholesaler. Maybe I'll be finding deals right and left. And maybe I need to make my money that way instead of the way I did before. Or maybe I need to buy with seller financing instead of buying, with a bank or with private money. You just have to open your mind and think of different options. And now's a good time to get on all these webinars and learn those options because you can't go anywhere anyway. So
why not,
right, get out and learn how to do some of these other strategies. So I think the longer you've been in it, the more strategies you've learned, but you've also been through different cycles. You've been through hot markets.
Is the key focus, what you're saying right there. You got to learn to adapt and adjust and be flexible. I think rigid will get you in trouble right now. If you're if you're just going out trying to buy everything, you're not flexing with what's happening in the marketplace. So, I think it's good. I think everybody, I've found that we've had a lot of top producers and influencers on this show in our marketplace, and they all come with that same theme, which is what you just said, which is you all have your realization. So the first week for everybody was like vacation. It was like, I don't
have to go to work.
I'm back in college. I'm partying, whatever. Everybody, I don't care how old you are. Everybody had that moment. And then there was the panic. Everybody went through a panic moment. I myself as well. It wasn't like panic, like I was freaking out. It was like I was doing things that I realized I was like, what am I doing? You know, I wasn't like scared. It was just this weird feeling, but I didn't realize a lot of people had it. And then there was all right, get myself back together. Let's start adapting. This is where we are right now. This is how I'm going to start moving through, through the water. And it sounds like that's, I'm sure you've been there for a couple of weeks now, because you're explaining it very clearly, because I couldn't have explained that very clearly maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. But it sounds like that's what's going on with you, and what, this organization D.I.G will do as well moving forward.
Right. Yeah. And I just think we just need to be smart, not stupid, both with the COVID and with your investing right now. Don't take those super high risks right now if you're not sure that you can sustain what you just did. Mm-hmm. But, that's everybody's risk aversion is different. So
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, I like the message you're sending out, which is, I think, what you're saying in a way of, okay, maybe you didn't plan for the rainy day like a lot of successful people have, such as yourself, right? Like you had backup reserves, so you're able to, weather this storm better than others. Not everybody has that. Maybe they joined in the last 5-6 years, and real estate's just been going up and up and up, and everything's great. This is so easy, right? But they didn't keep the reserves in. So maybe they're learning that lesson right now of, oh shit, I need to be able to keep reserves. But that doesn't mean quit. It doesn't mean stop real estate.
No, not at all.
No, it's the opposite, right? It means alter, because once you learn all these different strategies that are going to weather this storm, the next recession that hits, you're going to be one of those people that we're talking about, where they're saying, yeah, they got their eyes out for those investment properties right now, because they've been saving for this moment. So you're getting prepared now for the next recession, believe it or not.
Yeah, you're getting your experience in. So.
Yeah, it's the cost of it, but yeah, that's all you're going through now. So there's no way to quit or anything like that. It's just educate, stand your ground, and you'll be stronger for it.
Right. Well, it's probably the one business that will never go under, because people always need housing. Mm-hmm. Your personal business may go under because you can't weather the storm of a real estate office that with all the offices and people that you have, but you could still do real estate, whether it's to buy it, for investment properties, or flip it or wholesale it. It's always going to be there. So I kind of feel like, we're in a good profession. And as long as we, do what's best for people and not take advantage of people, but take advantage of the situation where we can actually help people out and make some deals, I think everybody will come out of this okay.
We all survive. We always do. I always look at this and go, look, it's either the end of the world and we're all dead, or we're all going to be just fine. So, whichever it is, we'll adapt. That's it.
Or we'll all be alcoholics because we've been home drinking for the past month.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I can't imagine. I would love to see the national booze sales for the past month. It's got to be off the charts. Like,
there's nothing else to do, and I don't have to get up in the morning, so I could.
Yeah. What are you actually,
I'm not a big drinker, so I haven't been drinking anything but coffee. But I think I've drank more coffee than I should.
Yeah, me too. So Stephanie, I love having you on here. I think your perspective is extremely unique. I think everybody that watches this, will be a whole lot of people that'll see this in the future. We send this out to like our broadcast list. There'll be hundreds of thousands of people in the local space that'll see this. I can tell you 100%, I am a huge fan of D.I.G. I always, I have narrowed down the networking groups that I go to over the years. And this is like, if you were to ask me like 3, and this is number 1 is D.I.G, and there's 2 others that I go to. So like I can tell you this too, if you're, sponsors or anybody like that in there, I also measure it selfishly by monetizing. So I look at it and go, okay, like if I'm going to spend 3 hours at this and I'm going to do 2 hours at this, what is this network? Has this networking group, brought in more money than I've had to put out time wise or whatever? Easily D.I.G is the forefront of that for me and my company. So I am happy to be part of that. And I think it's just a good resource for people of all levels, from extremely experienced, which you have there. You have some absolute killers in that group that are just really experienced investors, to people that literally like just found you online yesterday. you know, so it's
we like them all. I love to help new people. There's a lot of us that like to give back by helping new people, and there's a lot of us that like to support our vendors, and you're one of our good ones that will take phone calls from people and educate as well. We like them in all stages, but you can't educate newbies if you don't have the old people in there that know what they're doing. So
I always say, I don't knock the newbies because I can't tell you. I learned this lesson from the last cycle. How many people I met just, in passing, and maybe in your head, you're like, oh, I've done 10 times more deals than them, or whatever I was thinking probably 10 years ago when I was a jerk. Right. So, but what I realized was that I was never mean to them. I was never mean to anyone. I treat everybody the same, because I can't tell you how many of those people that were newbies then, all of a sudden with like 4 or 5 years later, you're like, man, you're really killing it. Like, you're really getting after it. So like, everybody has a starting point. And don't think because you've done a few more deals. I'm not saying you, and I'm just saying in general, I have learned this lesson. I don't believe I'm better than anybody. I don't believe that I'm going to be better than anybody. I just treat everybody the same, because those newbies that come into that group will very easily do business with you in the future. Not all of them, but some of them definitely.
And some of us have surprised us. They've come in and you're like, I don't know if they're ever going to do anything. Yeah. And they'll come in, and then there's other ones that have bought something and you're like, oh my gosh, they're new people. What were they thinking? And they make lemons out of lemonade. They, instead of it being a flip, it's a rental, and they just, they're making money on it. And they've just, it's amazing. People, if they've got a mind to make it, they'll do it and put their mind to it. So I really appreciate you having me on here, because I think you're doing a great job educating people here. So
thanks. It's great. So everybody go and join D.I.G that's going to be watching this. And Stephanie, I always appreciate you. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Ian. And nice to meet you, Ryan. Bye-bye.
You as well, Stephanie. Take care.
Thanks.